I think that because there's such a lack of environmental education being pushed and climate change being seen as political, I think that there needs to be this overall divergent changes in our hearts to recognize, like, you may not know everything, but you need to know and understand what's happening locally within your community. And I think that's what kind of inspires people to create change. I started my social media page back in November 2019 after I got fired from my job in New York City. And it was just 3 months in when I had just moved to New York City from California, and I felt like I needed a new creative outlet, so I created it out of that response. I would say that with Queer, Brown, Vegan, the reason why I've been so attached to the name itself is that, as growing up low income and as a queer person of color, there wasn't really that much representation out there. And I'd say that when it came to my Latin identity, I never really related to dominant class environmentalists in my classes, whether they grew up traveling across the world or having these different experiences with natural outdoors. And I asked myself, I don't really see myself in those pictures. I don't see myself in those experiences. And so when I delved deeper into that, I realized that Latin folks and people of color have such deep cultural relationships to the land too, like everyone else. A lot of the times people say, well, race doesn't matter in the environmental movement, and in fact it does, because people of color like me that are being exposed to high level rates of environmental pollutions. I think when it came to my queer identity, I think that queerness does matter because the climate crisis is displacing queer and trans communities at high rates, and when those queer and trans communities are displaced during natural disasters, whether you look at flooding, wildfires, tornadoes, when they enter those natural disaster relief camps, they are met with homophobia, transphobia, misgendering, violence. And so I think we need to kind of make those interconnections for ourselves and to showcase to younger people that it's okay to be a queer environmentalist. Like, there are people doing this work that look like you. Had I seen that earlier at a younger age, I think that would have really changed my trajectory rather than living in self-doubt throughout my whole life. When community members check out my page, they're kind of introduced to this variety of color. I use color coding as a huge way for me to learn. That's how I've learned throughout my K-12 education and undergrad experience. And so a lot of the times people think I use rainbows in my feed because I'm queer, but the reality is that I actually feel engaged when I create colorful content. But within that content, I kind of separate it through green screen video education using still images and trying to portray a story, or whether that's through a scanned notes section for infographics. A lot of the times people want to see the thought process behind an infographic post, what goes into determining a climate issue, how do I identify it? And then the other would be like climate comedy. I think that so many people feel so disengaged and disempowered by seeing doom and gloom every day, and being able to make a comedic relief out of it, I think that kind of gets people to smile, because the average adult does not smile or laugh as much as they should be doing. And I think this is what we need to teach our younger generations, to laugh more and to be able to confront these issues with joy. My favorite role model is Bill Nye. I think he's done such an extensive job in trying to communicate climate science and middle school and high school science for so many young people. And I think this is where creativity, art, and factual science comes into play. And I think because of him, I've been very influenced in being a creative environmental educator and showcasing how it can be fun to learn about the climate crisis and creating change in your community.
Together we can, dare I say it! Let's march!
What excites me most about what I do today is that I'm able to connect with other educators, parents, college students, and to give them really quality advice, because I think what led me to do education was curiosity and asking questions in the classroom. And had I not been a troublemaker myself, I don't think I would have been here today. And so I tell people that, like, the importance about environmental education is that you're taking that experience and influencing others around you, and that starts off with your lived experiences. I really try to make the effort for my community to get on Zoom calls with them. I know it sometimes sounds weird for a lot of people of like meeting your community members. I think I do have the privilege to sometimes have the time capacity to offer that to my community. And so a lot of the times I offer mentorship as a community platform because that's something that I wish I could have had. And I think some of the messages I've gotten from like young queer environmentalists were telling me straight up in college of like, because of you, my professor actually referenced your work talking about queer ecology or queer sustainability. I would say as we continue delving deeper into the ecological crisis and trying to recognize how LGBT issues, identity are interconnected, that we start to ask ourselves like, who is the most affected during a disaster and who is the most closest to you that you have a relationship to that you can rely during times of crises, because what's going to save us is our community, not our social media profiles. So I always want to emphasize to get to know your community members first. I think that the one message I would want to leave my viewers with is to remember to sustainably love yourself, and to create that sustainable love is to create this circular relationship that recognizes that earth, land, people, animals are interconnected, and that we are constantly unlearning environmental values that may be harmful and relearning new environmental values. And I think the importance is that community is a lifeline, and we really can't fix our climate crisis without our community.